it's Shawnee. Welcome back. Do you know what time it is? It's time for our weekly roundup where I go over all of the eyeshadow palettes I used over the past week and I rank them from least liked to most liked. Now, you might hear a little bit of sexy raspiness in my voice, and that's because I'm exhausted. I got like 3 hours of sleep for a couple of reasons, and I also had to deal with stress hives. So that was fun. So just send like positive energy, prayers, whatever's in your practice my way, please. I would really appreciate it. Okay, let's jump right in because I'm going to try to be straightforward and get her done. Now, we have 7 slots today. This week, but I'm not going to tell you how many palettes because I used a lot of palettes because there were days where I was doing like bingos and like collabs and stuff like that, and so they often included like several palettes. I'll try to show you all of the palettes. I've written them down, but I'm not going to focus on the palettes this week. I'm going to focus more on how I liked the looks. Hopefully that makes sense. So I think I said we have 7 palettes. Let's go ahead and get into number 7. Number 7, you're not going to believe it. It's a Patricia McGrath palette. It is the Moonlit Seduction palette. Now, I believe this is the most recent palette that she has come out with. I can't even remember when it came out, honestly, because she's dropped so many mediocre things since then. So this one I didn't get on launch. I'm pretty sure I bought it at some point after. And I think this was really the completionist in me. Like I have the other motherships and I was like, oh, I can't skip one. But I would say the look was fine. It just wasn't my favorite. I don't remember what I was doing that day, but I just wasn't feeling, you know how last week I think I was like, oh, I'm feeling myself. I wasn't feeling myself on this day. I would say out of the past 4 mothership releases that she's had, the like traditional motherships, I think that I like Divine Rose 1 and Divine Rose 2 the most, and then Utopian Dream would be after that, and then Moonlit Seduction. So it's fine. It's probably not going to be the mothership that I reach for the most. I should make a note of that and rank that at like the end of the year, huh? Idea. Remind me of that. So that is number 7. It was okay. Wasn't blown out of the water. Number 6. That is the Cosmic Brushes Delicious Delights palette. And here is what it looks like. This again is their most recent release, and I did a look with this. I also did swatches. I like the look. I thought it was really cute. I think I just like some of their other palettes a bit more, only because these are like lighter, more pastel shades, and those are just not things that I tend to use a ton of. I got it because, you know, it was like a relatively good price, and I like their eyeshadows. Yeah. Words come to me, please. I like their eyeshadows. I like their palettes, and I will definitely use this again. I really like the sort of bright, fun look that I was able to create. But I would say out of the 4 palettes that I have from them, this is the 4th one in terms of ranking them. But I like all of them. I would just say, like if you're going to start out with buying a palette, I wouldn't say to get this one. I would say to get either Muse or Serenity or Royal Rose first. All right, so that was number 6. Number 5 is the NATASHA DENONA BIBA palette. So here is this palette. Look at that. Let's pan. Hopefully I can hit pan on some other shades. Now, I got this relatively late in the game because I was like, I don't need that gigantic neutral palette with just a bunch of browns. And honestly, this is the palette that I will pull out when I just need something quick and cute, right? I did a mostly matte look because apparently I'm a mostly matte person this week, and I liked it. This is one of those palettes along with like Divine Rose 1 where I just need something kind of simple, nice, work friendly to wear, and this always comes in super clutch. Like, it really is a palette that I've gotten more use out of than I originally expected to. So I appreciated it. It's like a staple, like, go-to palette, and it is at number 5 this week. Number 4 is the Tropicolor palette from Sydney Grace in collaboration with Tina the Fancy Face. Now, this is a palette that I got, I think, this year, maybe last year. I think it was this year because it was like half off or something. I remember I told Jan, I was like, oh my god, it's half off, we gotta get it. So I really enjoy Tina, and I really like Sydney Grace. I'm really glad that they collaborated. I will say that I really enjoyed the look that I did with this palette. I didn't do a very colorful one. It was more of a chill. I feel like a lot of my looks this week were kind of just like soft, chill, easy looks with like 2 or 3 shades. So I did do a more like neutral look with this. I used this shade here and the brown, and I really liked it. I didn't realize I could do a look like that, but give me a palette and I'll help you find a neutral, work-friendly look, no matter how colorful or anything it is. So I enjoyed this palette. I do want to get more use out of it. I don't know that I use it as much as I would like to. I do know that these pans are magnetic, but some of them are glued in pretty well, because I did try to start taking it apart, mainly because... oh, that's going to influence what I buy during the sale. Mainly because I prefer Sydney Grace singles. I have a lot of their singles. Someone asked me to do like some swatches and stuff of the singles I have before their Christmas in July sale, which I will, but I was looking through the website and some of the shades that I currently have are no longer made, I guess. So that's something, like, I think sometimes it's hard because they'll like cycle through shades and you might get one week and then like 5 months later it's not there anymore. But because I like the singles more, I might pop these out at some point and just use them as singles rather than having them in the palette, because I just notice I don't use my Sydney Grace palettes as much as I use my Sydney Grace singles. So I think if I have these as singles, I'm gonna use them even more. Hopefully that makes sense. So that was number 4. Number 3, that is, I have it in my little kit pack here. That is a combination of the HINDASH palettes, the MONOCHROMANCE, and the BEAUTOPSY. Now, what I did a while ago is I took all of the shades out of the palettes and then I combined them into just a regular magnetic palette. I think I have it. Yeah. Let me show you that. So I have this palette. All of them fit in here very well, very easily. And this is just where I keep all of them. I wanted to do this because I thought that it would be easier and more likely for me to grab the shades if I had them in a palette together rather than just having the 2 palettes, you know, side by side. And I was doing that for a while, and then I think because I just have so many palettes, I was noticing that I hadn't been using it, using the palettes, I guess, and so I really enjoyed this look. So for now, these palettes will stick around. I don't know if they're gonna be around forever because they're not necessarily any like blow your socks off kind of shades, but I really like the look that I did with this. I mainly used some of these like pinky shades, and then I used this bronzer from Lethal Cosmetics to deepen up the outer corner, which I tend to like to do. So for now, these are gonna stay, and who knows, maybe in my next like declutter they will hit the road jack, but for now I'm gonna keep it and continue to use them. I'll try to pull them into different looks like I do with my Focus palette for the year. Okay, what number was that? That was number 3. Okay, number 2, we have a lot of palettes. I'm gonna try to show you all of them. Now, number 2 is a look that I did in collaboration with my friend Jan Van. And what we did was we chose a look from somewhere and we created a look based on that. Ironically, we both chose a look from the other. So on this day, I did kind of like a duping the vibes of Jan's look, and I used 4 palettes and 2 singles. So the palettes that I used the Melt Muerte palette. I also used the Melt Amor y Mariposas palette. I used the NATASHA DENONA Sunset palette. I used the NOMAD Okavango Sephora. No, I didn't. I lied. I just lied to you. That was the only ones I used. And then I added the Sydney Grace shade Lemonade. It's just like a very bright yellow, and the JD Glow Autumn. So I used a lot to try to create what she created, but I will say, no, maybe I did. Oh, Hudson Valley. That's the one. Child. Who needs a nap? This guy. So I also used the Nomad Hudson Valley palette, and this was the only palette that Jan used for the look. But the reason I brought in a bunch of other palettes is because I was realizing that because of our different skin tones, the shades were showing up a little differently on my skin tone than on hers. So in order to try to like mimic the colors she used, I just had to bring in some other palettes and grab like shades from each one. So for these palettes, like I pretty much just grabbed one shade from each one to create the look. But it was really interesting to me for me to notice like the difference in when she put on a shade and it was like a vibrant red, and when I put it on, it was sort of like a maroon kind of thing. It was just really, really interesting. I did feel like I created a nice look. I was just a little like womp because I couldn't just use the Hudson Valley palette. Okay, that's number 2. Number one is surprising to me because it is a cool toned all matte look. Who am I? Who am I? Right? And it was the look I did for the collab with Jan Van and Nikki Lynn. So basically we did a palette bingo where we chose one shade from 5 Nomad palettes. Luckily, I have 5 Nomad palettes. So I was able to choose shades from that. Check out that video, child, because the shades I got, I was like so surprised. I was like, I'm gonna get a warm orangey brown and a shimmer. I got none of those, okay? I got very much like your grayish, like dusty brown kind of shades. So I'll show you the palettes that I used, and hopefully I can remember what shades I used. So from Hudson Valley that we were just talking about, I used this shade here, which is Apple Cider Donut. So I use this one. From the Okavango Safari palette, I used this shade, Crash of the Rhinos. From the Nomad Royal Europe palette, I used this shade here, Neptune Fountain. From the Cartagena Mágica palette, I used La Diosa Coronada. And then from the Nomad Amore y Muerte palette, I used the shade Death. Now, the way I realized I didn't say this in the video was that the way I counted these, I think I think Nikki also used this one, but I didn't go across. I basically counted it like this was one palette and then this was a second palette. So I kind of did it that way. So I counted like 1 to 9 here and then 10 to 18 here. Hopefully that makes sense. And it was my favorite look of the week. Actually, my favorite looks were a lot of mattes. I did quite a few like just matte kind of looks, and I was surprised by how much I really enjoyed them. So I'm kind of thinking like when I just need a chill day, maybe I'll just do like a matte look. But knowing me, I'll add a shimmer because I love shimmers. I did add a wing to quite a few of my looks, and the wing liner that I used, or the liquid liner that I use, is the Onyx liner from Danessa Myricks. It's really good. Now, I like to share with you something I'm enjoying that is not an eyeshadow palette. And this week I was like, what have I been enjoying? And so what I did was I reflected on a few things. There are a couple things that happened. I fell, and it's really different falling closer to middle age than it is when you're like in your 20s. And my back was hurting for various reasons. I was just like going through it, y'all. So I did go and I got a hot stone massage on Monday, and let me tell you, that man worked all the knots and like lumps and bumps out my body, and it felt so good. But before that, I was like, I need to do something before that because there are aches and pains. And so I used this massager here. Let me tell you something. These things move. Sorry. And there's also a button for like heat and stuff and the intensity of the little rubby things. And child, you can put this on your back like this. So I did that like towards your lower back, but then I also like turned it over and it really got into my lower back. And you can also put this thing over it if the heat is too much for you, but child, not for me. I need straight heat, okay? This is so good. Now, I got this off of Amazon. I did check to see if they have it, but they don't anymore. But I'm pretty sure, because I got this like 2 or 3 years ago. I'm pretty sure that you can find one similar. So this one is from the brand Papillon, and it is said to be a neck massager, shiatsu neck and back massager with heat, electric massage pillow with 16 deep tissue massage nodes for back, cervical, shoulder, foot, body, muscle pain relief. Yeah. So I really like this one. They don't have this particular one anymore, but you can just go in and look for back massager or heated back massager on Amazon or wherever you tend to shop and get you one, okay? Now, I will say that my full body hot stone massage was like, that's tip top, right? But this did get me through a few like aches and pains. I have another one that's more like for the shoulders. I also have one that's like a mat, like you lay on the mat. I bought one of those for my mom too. I also treated my mom to a massage in California, and when I tell you the price of her massage, I would have only gotten a handshake out here. The price difference, I was like, girl, you can get 2, 3, 4 of those. Anyway, but this, oh, so good. Get you one. All right, y'all. I've got to go because, yeah, I'm tired. So yeah, send those good vibes and stuff my way. I would really appreciate it. Let me know what you use this week. Let me know if you use like a ton of palettes, if you use like 2, if you use your singles. Just give me an idea of what you use this week. I would love to know. Definitely leave that in the comments, please. I hope that some of this was helpful. I hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself, says the woman who got 3 hours of sleep. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Like I said before, please leave a comment, and love chatting with you in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.